locked away, deep inside Vatican City. There's this labyrinth of knowledge, a fortress, really, filled with whispers of secrets, centuries old. We're talking about the Vatican Apostolic Library. It's not just, shelves of old books. It's this vault of enigmas. It captures the imagination, doesn't it?
It really does. What's actually on those shelves? What truths are kept from the light?
Exactly. So today, our deep dive takes us into that shadowy realm. We're using a YouTube video, Secretos Ocultos de la Biblioteca del Vaticano by Rose Bennett, as our guide.
Okay.
And our mission, if you will, is to try and sort through it all, separate the wild speculation from the known facts about what the Vatican Library really holds.
Especially focusing on those intriguing rumors and the history behind them.
Right. So let's step into the shadows of the Vatican Library.
Now, what really fuels this whole mystique is how far back it goes. Its deep roots. I mean, yeah, it was officially set up in 1475 by Pope Sixtus V, but the idea of it, the need to gather and protect important information, that goes right back to the early days of the church.
So like controlling the narrative from the start.
Pretty much. In those early times, carefully choosing which texts to keep, which ones to, promote, that was crucial. It was about faith, yes, but also politics, knowledge, power. This huge library grew from that first carefully managed collection.
And Sixtus IV, he had a grand vision, didn't he?
Oh, absolutely. Think about the timing. The printing press was just starting to change everything.
Right. Information spreading faster than ever.
Exactly. And he wanted the Vatican to be this central hub for, all knowledge, not just theology, but science, philosophy, law, everything.
And did he succeed? Sounds like it.
Massively. Today, the library holds, it's almost hard to grasp, over 880,000 manuscripts.
Wow.
And more than 1.1 million printed books. Think about that. Unique medieval manuscripts, Greco-Latin classics, foundational science texts.
Just the sheer weight of history in one place. If you love rare books, that's paradise. Or maybe something more mysterious.
Well, that concentration of knowledge is exactly why the myths start. This image of an ultra-secret place, full of hidden revelations, it's really taken hold.
Yeah, in movies and books, everywhere.
And look, there is an air of mystery, no doubt, but it's not completely sealed off. The secrecy, I think, it comes more from the strict controls on who gets to see certain documents, often very sensitive ones.
And that just fuels the fire, right?
Yeah.
If you can't see it, you wonder what they're hiding.
Precisely. That selectivity feeds the speculation about what those guarded texts might actually say.
And didn't it take ages for them to even publish a full catalog?
That's right. The complete catalog wasn't out until 1883. That's, 400 years after Sixtus V founded it?
4 centuries. That's incredible.
And while publishing it helps scholars, obviously, the fact is, even now, parts of the collection aren't publicly cataloged, so you naturally ask, what's being kept quiet? What aren't they listing?
It makes you wonder.
Definitely. And you have to look at the Renaissance. That was a key period for bulking up the collection. Popes were actively acquiring manuscripts of all kinds.
Not just religious stuff, then.
Far from it. They got priceless Arabic and Greek texts, many saved after Constantinople fell. They bought whole collections from princes or scholars who needed the money.
So a real mix.
A huge mix. Old maps, amazing scientific works, diplomatic papers showing the church's dealings with European states over centuries. Even the way they stored things back then, rolled parchments, leather-bound codices, documents locked in metal chests. It all adds to this sense of long-held, carefully guarded secrets.
And then you hear about the tunnels.
Ah, yes. The tunnels and the underground vaults, supposedly running beneath the archives, mostly hidden from the public.
Designed for preservation, I assume, climate control and all that.
Exactly. Perfect conditions for fragile documents.
Yeah.
But inevitably, it leads to the question, what else is down there? In those deeper, even more secure levels.
It's that combination, isn't it? Immense history and knowledge, plus really tight controls. That's what gets the imagination going.
The access restrictions are absolutely central to the library's whole enigmatic image. Ever since Pope Leo III opened it up to scholars, mind you, in 1881, getting in has been tough.
Not a place for casual tourists.
Not at all. You need to go through a really rigorous application, usually a doctorate in the field, strong letters of recommendation, a track record of publications.
Oh.
And you have to justify exactly what you want to research and which specific documents you need to see. It's quite the process.
It sounds less like going to a library and more like, applying for security clearance.
That's a good way to put it. And it doesn't stop there. Once you're in, the rules are super strict.
Like what?
You only get access to the documents approved for your research. You're supervised closely, no cameras, no phones to protect the fragile texts.
Makes sense, but still.
And even then, for some really delicate or important items, you need another layer of special permission just to look at them.
It's layers upon layers of restriction.
Which naturally makes people compare it to places like the British Library or the Library of Congress, which are much more open.
Yeah, why is the Vatican so protective? Is it purely about preserving these old documents, making sure they survive?
That's the official line, and it's certainly a valid concern. These things are priceless and fragile, but could there be another reason? Concern about the content of some documents, things they aren't ready for the world to know. That's the question that hangs in the air.
That really is the heart of the mystery. And inside those walls, you've got documents that didn't just witness history, they made history. And they still cause debate.
Absolutely. Think about that letter from Henry VIII to Pope Clement VII back in 1527.
The annulment request.
Exactly. Not just some polite note. This was the spark. Henry needed an annulment from Catherine of Aragon, desperate for a male heir.
And the Pope said no.
He did, partly because of pressure from Catherine's nephew, Emperor Charles V, and that refusal. It led directly to Henry breaking from Rome, setting up the Church of England in 1534, making himself the head.
All from one letter being denied. Incredible.
It just shows how tangled politics, religion, and personal desires were. How one document could change everything for a nation, for a faith.
Wow. Okay, what else? What other historically heavy documents are in there?
Well, another huge one is the official protocol from Galileo's trial.
The clash between science and the church.
A fundamental clash, yes. This wasn't just a scholarly disagreement. It was about the church's entire worldview versus this new scientific understanding.
He argued the earth went around the sun, right? Heliocentrism?
Yes, challenging the church's geocentric model. He was accused of heresy, forced to recant publicly.
But didn't he supposedly mutter something afterwards?
Eppur si muove, and yet it moves. Probably apocryphal, likely didn't happen, but it captures the spirit, doesn't it?
Yeah, that truth will out, eventually.
Exactly. The trial documents are a stark reminder of how powerful ideas can be suppressed, only to become accepted truth later on.
Okay, so those are documented historical turning points. But now, let's get into the rumors. The whispers. What else might be hidden away?
This is where it gets really intriguing. One of the biggest rumors is about apocryphal gospels.
Texts that didn't make it into the Bible.
Right. Early Christian writings that were excluded from the official canon. The speculation is that some of these might contain radically different accounts of Jesus' life and teachings.
Different how? Like changing core beliefs.
Potentially. Things that could challenge centuries of accepted doctrine, maybe even rewrite parts of Christian history.
Have any actually been found? Outside the Vatican, I mean.
Oh, yes. Texts like the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Judas, they've surfaced. And they offer very different perspectives.
The Gospel of Judas. Doesn't that paint him differently?
Dramatically differently. It suggests his role as much more complex, maybe even part of a divine plan, not simple betrayal. So, if these texts exist outside the Vatican, the question becomes, what other versions, what other early Christian histories might the Vatican itself hold, kept away from public view?
What other stories were deliberately left out? Makes you think.
It does, and the rumors go beyond just religious texts. There's talk of secret societies.
Like the Knights Templar.
The Templars are probably the biggest one. The theory is the Vatican Library holds documents revealing their secrets, what really happened to them after they were dissolved in the 14th century.
Did they just vanish?
Yeah.
Or continue in secret?
That's the mystery. Could the Vatican archives hold the key? Proof of their hidden history, their knowledge may be locked away. It's a compelling idea.
But no hard proof they're there.
No verifiable proof linking specific Templar secrets to the library, no. But the mystery lingers. And then you have the Illuminati.
Always the Illuminati.
Right. That legendary group supposedly pulling strings behind the scenes. Again, no credible evidence connects them directly to the library's contents.
But the rumors persist.
They do. Could there be, I don't know, coded records, secret letters, something about their origins or influence hidden in there? It's a fascinating speculation, but mostly just that speculation.
Okay, things get even wilder though, don't they? What about aliens?
Chuckle slightly. Yes, the extraterrestrial theories, it's not usually about UFOs landing in St. Peter's Square.
Right, more subtle.
Yeah, more the idea that the Vatican might hold ancient texts or even modern scientific records hinting at or proving extraterrestrial life exists.
Where does that idea come from?
Whispers of secret letters between church officials and scientists over the years, discussions about life beyond Earth, almost like they knew something or suspected something big.
And they have their own observatory, right?
They do. The Vatican Observatory, the Specola Vaticana, it's been doing serious astronomical research since 1891.
So its official purpose is science.
Absolutely. But some people look at that, plus the Vatican's history of collecting all kinds of knowledge and wonder if there's a dual purpose, maybe monitoring for something else.
Any official hints?
Well, interestingly, back in 2008, the observatory director, a Jesuit astronomer named José Gabriel Funes, said that believing in extraterrestrials wouldn't necessarily contradict Christian faith.
Huh.
Some people took that as a kind of subtle nod, a hint, maybe, that the Vatican knows more than it's letting on.
Fascinating.
Oh, yeah.
What about prophecies? End of the world stuff.
Yes, the apocalyptic prophecies. That's a powerful recurring myth about the library. The idea that they hold secret texts predicting the end times.
Why keep them secret?
The theory is to prevent mass panic, societal breakdown, that these texts are from saints, visionaries, biblical figures detailing the end.
Any specific ones mentioned?
People talk about the Apocalypse of Peter, a supposedly lost early Christian text, and of course the prophecies of St. Malachi about the popes.
The ones that supposedly predict the current pope is the last one.
That's the interpretation some people make, yes, leading up to the end of the church or the world.
Again, any proof these texts are actually in the Vatican Library?
No definitive proof of those specific texts being there. But look, apocalyptic writings have been found elsewhere, like the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Right.
So that discovery fuels the speculation. If they exist elsewhere, maybe similar, even more potent prophecies are hidden in the Vatican's vaults.
It's always that possibility, isn't it? Okay, let's touch on something controversial, popularized by fiction. Jesus having descendants.
Right, the Da Vinci Code effect. Though the idea itself claims roots in some apocryphal texts, like the Gospel of Philip or Mary Magdalene.
What do those texts actually say?
They suggest a special, maybe intimate relationship between Jesus and Mary Magdalene, but they don't explicitly state they had children. That's more of a later interpretation, a big leap.
So the restriction on seeing these texts actually fuels the wilder theories.
You could argue that, yeah. When texts aren't easily available for everyone to study and debate openly, it kind of leaves room for more speculative ideas, sometimes sensational ones, to grow. The lack of full access lets imagination run wild.
Makes sense. And one more sensitive area. The alleged letters between Pope Pius XII and Hitler.
Yes, that's a heavy one. Speculation that's been around for decades, tied to Pius XII's role during the Holocaust, which is still intensely debated.
Did he help save people secretly, or was he silent?
That's the core of the debate. Did he work behind the scenes, or did his public silence enable atrocities? It's a huge historical question.
Has any correspondence actually been found?
No direct confirmed letters between Pius XII and Hitler themselves have surfaced, not yet anyway. But the Vatican did start opening its archives from that period in 2020.
And what are they finding?
Lots of documents showing how the Vatican navigated the incredibly complex and dangerous politics of Nazi Germany. It's revealing the nuances, but the possibility of direct letters, that still fascinates historians and keeps the debate going.
So bringing us more up to date, the library isn't just stuck in the past, is it? It's a modern research center, too.
Absolutely. It's evolved. It's a vital hub for scholars worldwide, and they're very aware of how fragile their collection is.
So they're digitizing things.
Yes, a massive effort started in the 2010s. Tens of thousands of documents, manuscripts, maps, letters are being carefully digitized to preserve them.
Can we see those online?
Some of them. Only a portion of the digitized material is publicly accessible.
Why only some?
Well, there are real privacy concerns sometimes, information about people or institutions, plus the sheer delicacy and, frankly, the proprietary nature of some texts. Even digitally, access is still managed.
Still controlled. And going back to hidden things, those tunnels you mentioned, are they just for storage?
There's that interesting anecdote, yeah. The network beneath the gardens and buildings, they weren't just for storage, but also for moving people and documents discreetly, especially in dangerous times like the sack of Rome in 1527.
Like escape routes.
More like secure internal transit. And yes, they apparently lead to underground vaults with serious climate control for the most sensitive items.
Any truth to the legends about them connecting elsewhere in Rome, like ancient catacombs?
Those are the captivating legends. Secret passages stretching out across the city. There's no solid archaeological proof for the really grand claims, but the fact these tunnels exist just adds another layer of mystique. Secrets above ground, secrets below ground.
And has anyone ever tried to break in? steal things.
Oh, there are stories throughout history. Tales of thieves in the 19th century looking for gold or jewels, maybe a spy during the Cold War seeking secrets, even a monk way back in the 10th century supposedly trying to steal a document.
But they're totally true or not.
They highlight that security has always been incredibly tight around this place.
It really has this unique grip on our imagination, doesn't it? In pop culture, too.
Definitely. That aura of mystery, the guarded knowledge, the rumors, it's perfect fodder for films, novels, theories.
Like Dan Brown's Angels and Demons. That used the archives dramatically.
Exactly. A stage for conspiracies and hidden history. And Umberto Eco's The Name of the Rose, while it's fiction, it taps right into that deep fascination with secret libraries, forbidden knowledge, monastic secrets.
It shows how powerful the idea of this place is.
It really does. The Vatican Library continues to inspire and make us wonder.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the Vatican Library's mysteries, we're kind of left with this tension, aren't we?
A real duality.
On one hand, it's this official center for serious scholarship and preserving history. On the other, all these persistent, captivating rumors about world-changing secrets hidden away.
And that really leaves the big question for you, listening to this. Given the history, the secrecy, the whispers, what do you think might truly be hidden inside the Vatican Library?
Yeah, what's your gut feeling? Is it a map to treasure?
Or truths that would completely change how we see history, or science, or faith?
Or maybe it's just stories that time wanted to keep buried, their power lying in the not knowing.
Perhaps the mystery itself is the point.
Yeah, we'd love to hear what you think. Share your theories, your speculations in the comments. Sometimes, the most exciting part of a mystery like this is just imagining the possibilities.
Awesome.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the very enigmatic secrets of the Vatican Library.